I decided to challenge myself and see if I can beat Pokemon Legends Arceus with only Bidoof. Let's take a look at his stats. They're pretty terrible. I mean, the only thing that's good here is his HP. But when you look at his moveset though, I got Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Aqua Tail, Shadow Ball, and Iron Tail. This was more than enough to convince me that this challenge was possible. Here are the rules. I can only use Bidoof in battle. I am allowed to save and restart the game because if not, I would end up being broke and this challenge would have been longer than it already is. And finally, I am allowed to catch Pokemons and keep them in my party for the sole purpose of completing the Pokedex. Here we go. But before we begin, only 0.9% of you guys are subscribed, so if you enjoy the video and want to see more crazy challenges like these, consider subscribing. It helps out a lot. Thanks. After the Pokemon God gave me a new phone case, I looked at the sky menacingly, ate some potato mochi, got recruited to the Survey Corps, and found out that Titan spawns in this world. The next day, Professor Laventon gave me the option to pick a starter, which didn't really matter anyways. Met Cynthia's ancestor, defeated him, and entered the Obsidian Fieldlands. Akari taught me how to flip, and almost died while doing so. Caught as many Bidoofs as I could, and ended up using the one that had the most EVs. We ate some more potato mochi, fought against my rival again, and named my Bidoof Homie. After some training, it was time to challenge Mai, and I didn't have a hard time defeating her. I found a shiny Zubat, caught it, and it was time to face the first alpha Pokemon, Kricketune. After spamming rollout on a bunch of beauty flies, I managed to get Bidoof to level 24 and beat him with only a couple of HP left. We witnessed a weird deer on top of a mountain in awe of what just happened, ate some more potato mochi, met Adaman and Irida, changed my clothes, and fought against Lion where I one-shot his Gumi. I then played Mask Off the Weird Deer. Back at the forest, Irida thought that she could beat us, but Homie ended up destroying her Glaceon. Cleavor was the first Dark Souls boss that we had to go up against, and honestly, I never had so much fun throwing bombs at an angered Pokemon. We quelled his frenzy, emptied the pasture to get grits to level up my EVs, ate more potato mochis, learned Shadow Ball, Icy Wind, Charge Beam, Iron Tail, and fought against Akari where my new moves came in handy. At the Crimson Mirelands, we had to fight Volo, and Bidoof was able to take down Togepi with an Iron Tail and Gibble with a Strong Style Crunch. To recover the stolen fragment, we had to beat Coin, and this was the first major roadblock of the challenge. Her Toxicroak had the move Rock Smash and never really let my Bidoof any chance to attack. So after exploring, I found a little area where Kricketoons would spawn and trained versus them. I also increased Bidoof's EVs as high as possible. Once Bidoof got to level 42, it was time to give the battle another go. This time, Rock Smash would only deal less than half of my HP, which means that if he didn't go for a strong style move, I could defeat him. I returned the missing fragment, and it was time to fight Ursaluna. I took him down with a combination of Agile and Strong Style Crunch. Played the John Cena theme on the flute, and he enjoyed it. Leveled up some EVs, and threw some bombs at Lilligant until she calmed down. We ate some more potato mochi, and made our way to the Cobalt Coastlands. At the entrance, Irida was waiting for me, and we took down her Glaceon and Eevee. Our goal in this island was to acquire Basculegion, so I played the Titanic theme and now I was able to ride him. While doing so, the three sisters yoinked a Growlithe and now we had to go and save him. At the top of the volcano, they forced the Growlithe to evolve without a Firestone, and we had to go up against all three sisters to save him. Clover was first, and Bidoof took down Abomasnow with Double Edge. Coin had her Toxicroak, and unlike last time, a strong style Double Edge was enough to take her down. Finally, it was time to face Charm, and she had a Rhydon, which got one-shotted by Ice Beam, and Gengar was taken out with a strong style Crunch. Growlithe somehow decides to evolve, turns into a Titan in the process, and now we have to throw bombs at him. Back at the village, we faced against Adaman and took down both his Leafeon and Eevee with an Ice Beam. After that, we met our old friend Ingo and completed a quest from a man who gave us a swap snack. This item was going to be important in our run because it allowed the Pokemon to switch their offensive stats with their defensive stats, which for Bidoof's case works out perfectly. We now made it to the Coronet Highlands, where we had to battle against Melee in order to progress through. The only thing I needed to do was use a strong style Double Edge, and the battle was over. Volo tells Ingo that he might have time traveled like me, and now I have to fight him so he can teach me how to get Sneasler. This fight was actually easier than I thought. Machoke's fighting moves only brought me to half HP. The real problem was Tangela because he paralyzed me twice before I was actually able to use Ice Beam. Then when Gliscor came out, all I had to do was use a max potion, then Ice Beam was more than enough to take him down. I then played SpongeBob's Krusty Krab on my flute and acquired Sneasel's trust. Back at Electrode's den, I had to face against Melly again, who had 3 Pokemons out at the same time. I took out the weaker Pokemons first in Zubat, which I almost died after killing him, proceeded to crunch Skorupi, and then Ice Beam the Skuntank. After that, it was now time to face Electrode. I think that out of all the bosses, this was by far my favorite one, because there's an Electro Ball constantly following me and forced me to stay on my toes, unlike the other bosses where you can, get away stationary for long periods of time. We then feasted on some potato mochi, witnessed a Wurmple crossing over Captain Silene, and maxed out my EVs on my Bidoof. At the gate, Akari wanted to battle, and she got absolutely destroyed by my Bidoof. We now made our way to the Alabaster Icelands, where we met the Giga Chad Garrick. He challenged us with his Glalie and his Frostlass. I used Crunch on Frostlass and immediately knocked her out, then went for an Agile Style Crunch and Strong Style Double Edge on the Glalie. Right after the battle, we met with Sabi, who was going to be the one who teaches us how to get Braviary. But before that, we have to of course engage in a battle with her. She had the trifecta of the new Gen 4 evolutions in Rhyperior, Magmortar, and Electivire. I was actually a little worried about this one because I thought I would get absolutely destroyed, but it turned out to be extremely straightforward since that Rhyperior got one-shotted by Ice Beam and Magmortar and Electivire were both level 30. At the top of the Snowpoint Temple, I had to face the Braviary, and after beating him, I played the Avengers theme song, and now I had all of the rideable Pokemon. I made a quick pit stop at the clothing store to look like a bootleg Tanjiro from Demon Slayer and went to face the noble Avalugg. I did not expect this Pokemon to be this gigantic, and honestly, it just made the battle 10 times more cooler. After throwing the last bomb at him, which I doubt did any sort of real damage, we feasted on some potato mochi one last time before being exiled by Commander Kamado due to the disturbance in the sky. Volo randomly finds me in the open and introduces me to someone who looks like Cynthia? Wait a minute, I thought Volo was the ancestor. Anyways, we are tasked to make our way to the caves of the Lake of Trio and get some hints on how to make the red chain. After beating all of the Pokemon guarding the lakes and doing their challenges, they finally created the red chain. It was now time to make our way to the Temple of Sinnoh, but in the way leading up to it, we met our good friend Benny. Now you would think that he would give us some potato mochi, but he had an unwavering loyalty to Commander Kamado and would do whatever it takes to stop me, and indeed he did. After knocking out his Mismagius, he had a Sneasler that one-shotted me with close combat. So I started training my Bidoof to level 100 by beating up Alpha Blissies because they gave the most amount of XP and had the chance to drop some large XP candies. I also went to buy the recipe for the Ox Guard and made some just in case. At level 85, I tried rematching Benny and got destroyed. Did some more training, made some Ox evasions, and then rematched him. This time, I managed to knock out Sneasler, but immediately left as soon as I saw Gallade. I got Homie to level 100 and went to visit Benny one last time. I one-shotted Mismagius, and with the Ox evasion that I set up earlier, I managed to dodge Sneasler's close combat, which gave me the opportunity to set up an Ox Guard. His close combat missed again, and I used another Ox Guard. I tried hitting him with Aqua Tail because Bidoof was more physical than special, but me missing could have easily lost me the battle, so I went for Shadow Ball instead. Gallade was the next Pokemon in slot, and because it's part Psychic, Shadow Ball was more than enough to take him down. He then threw out Gardevoir, and I knew that this battle was over. We then made our way to the top of the temple, where Kamado challenged us to a battle. His first Pokemon was Braviary, and Shadow Ball took it down. Next up was Snorlax, and immediately used the Giga Impact. I thought there was going to be a recharge mechanic, but it turns out there wasn't, and almost killed me with another one. My Crunch managed to lower his defenses, and I knocked him out by using a Strong Style Crunch just to make sure. He sent out Golem and didn't do any significant damage to me, so I was confident with the Aqua Tail and knocked him out. His last Pokemon was Clefable, and all I did was spam Shadow Balls until he died. Made my way to the pillar, and the whole place started shaking. Dialga came out of the portal, my red chain came out of nowhere and did absolutely nothing, and was now forced to fight Dialga, but got knocked out. Because it respawned me in front of the temple, I just kept on fighting him until I caught him. Now another portal opened, and it looked like Palkia wanted to have some fun too, but we retreated. Collected some special ores, the three sisters showed up, and we easily took down Charm. Back at the lab, the professor created an origin ball for us. We witnessed Adamant being possessed by Dialga, and went to Zisu to master all of my moves. It was now time to pay Palkia a visit. There was some light coming out of his body, and I threw out Dialga. He went for a Roar of Time, and Palkia decided to headbutt it, or Spatial Render, I don't really know. He emerged from the glowing headbutt and turned into an armless centaur. And now we have to challenge him with an absolute banger of a theme in the background. Whoever at Game Freak decided to greenlight the Eurobeat deserves a goddamn raise. I mean, listen to this, it sounds just like Initial D. I'm just playing. After almost dying to him, the Origin Ball magically appears in my hand again, and we finally catch it and beat the game. Now theoretically, this is the end of the challenge, but I wanted to see if I could continue because I thought Arceus was the last boss. And so I did. Although for the challenge to work, I had to catch every single Pokemon in the Pokedex, but some Pokemon such as Weirdeer and Overquill require specific moves to be used during the battle in order for them to evolve. So for the completion of the Pokedex, the rules had to be broken. On my mission to collect all of the plates, Kamado challenges me into a battle. I set up as many Ox Guards as I can in order for me to be as tanky as possible. Used Ice Beam on the Golem, Thunderbolt on the Heracross, where I almost died from his close combat, and finished him with another Thunderbolt. Snorlax was up next. I Thunderbolted him and got him paralyzed in the process. Finally, I Shadow Balled Clefable and Braviary, which knocked out both of them, and with that, I was rewarded with the Fist Plate. We now made our way to the, I guess now called Speed Pillar, to meet with Volo. Turns out he had the last plate all along. He was an Arceus fanboy and he wanted us to hand over the plates, but I wasn't going to let him. As the battle began, I hear a very nostalgic theme that terrorized me during my childhood. Cynthia's theme. At that moment, I knew that this battle was going to be crazy, but I was not ready for what was going to happen next. He sends out Spiritomb first, and I think, oh, this shouldn't be that bad, until he summons Lucario. He bulks up, bullet punches me, and then close combats me. I go for round 2, and the same thing happens. Round 3, with an Ox Guard active, I still managed to die. Round 4, I somehow managed to get him to low HP, but I still get knocked out. We go for round 5, I die, so I decide to go back to the village and bought the recipes for the Ox Power and most importantly, the Ox Power Guard, which allowed me to combine the Ox Guard and Ox Power into one bottle. I made my way back to Volo and had a much easier time. It turns out that having a guard active would force him to use bulk up. Then, he would constantly spam close combat, and by doing so, he lowered his defenses. So I just had to stall long enough until the bulk up was gone and had his defense lowered to knock him out, and also pray that he doesn't go for a strong style close combat, or even worse, an agile style close combat followed by a strong style close combat. After taking it down with a Thunderbolt, he sends out Rose Raid and goes for spikes instead of killing me, which at this point, I knew that if I can get to Roserade at a healthy HP, I should be fine. Arcanine was up next, and at this point, I thought that the run was over because Raging Fury did more than half of my HP and I wasn't going to be able to stall. It turns out, it only had an 85% accuracy, so it had the chance to miss. I had to constantly heal and wait and use Crunch to beat it. Togekiss was up next, and for the most part, it would set up a Calm Mind followed by a Moonblast. I attempted to use Thunderbolt and lost. I rematched it and there was a possibility that it uses a strong style Moonblast. With that in mind, we go again, but the RNG is too strong and we die to Lucario. Honestly, the hardest part was getting through Lucario because if he went for a strong style close combat, it was a guaranteed death. But if I killed him quickly, the fight becomes way less stressful. At this point, I don't even know what attempt I'm at, but we run it back again and make Garchomp die. It turns out that we also have to go against Giratina without our Pokemons being healed, and he has Aura Sphere. After rematching Volo and Giratina for God knows how many times, there was a possibility that he could go for a normal Aura Sphere. I went back to the village, made some swap snacks and choice dumplings, which is like a glass cannon choice band I think, mindlessly grinded the Giratina battle until I got to a scenario where he spammed an agile style Aura Sphere followed by a normal Aura Sphere, which at this point I knew that this was my only chance in beating him, and so I stalled out until he ran out of Aura Spheres, and from there I thought that it was game over. He also had Earth Power, which had the chance to lower my defenses, but the battle was already over. Here was my reaction at 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh my god, let's go! What? He has origin form. Yeah, it turns out that he goes into his origin form as well. Now at this point, I thought the run was actually over, but I decided to go full copium and changed my Bidoof's nature into a sassy one, crafted some 2 spiced radishes, which increased the power of my moves by 50%, some choice dumplings, and some dire hits for fun. It was now time to face Volo for hopefully the last time. I check his Spiritomb with Crunch, and a critical hit lands. He goes for a full restore. I set up a power guard and he uses a dark pulse but does no damage. I set up a 2 spice radish and crunch him. Lucario is next and he goes for a bullet punch and bulk up. I set up an agile style swords dance and go for a strong style aqua tail. Roserade is up next and barely does any damage with petal dance and spikes, so I use a max potion and my defenses fall. He goes for a petal dance and I use a power guard. I get another turn and use a max potion to recover to full HP. An agile style spike setup and petal dance is thrown out. I go for the ice beam and knock it out instantly. Arcanine goes for a raging fury and I heal to full HP. He goes for raging fury again and I go for an aqua tail that KOs him instantly. Togekiss is next and goes for a moonblast that removes my defenses. I heal up. He goes for a calm mind. I go for a power guard. He goes for a moonblast. I go for an ice beam. He goes for a moonblast again, lowering my defenses. I heal up. He goes for another moonblast, gives me the opportunity to use ice beam, and now we're at guard chomp. I set up an ox evasion. He goes for dragon claw and I heal up. He goes for another dragon claw, but he ends up missing due to my ox evasion, and with that, stage 1 was done. It was now time to face Giratina, and he went for a normal Aura Sphere. I set up a power guard and he goes for another Aura Sphere, giving me the chance to heal to full HP. He Aura Spheres again. I thought that maybe using the swap snacks would be a good idea. He hits me with another normal Aura Sphere and I heal. This time he goes for an agile style followed by a normal one. I heal again. Another Aura Sphere. I heal just in case. With no guards up, I see the animation for the agile and strong style moves, but he ended up using his last Aura Sphere on an agile style and then it was earth powers. Here is my reaction. It's time. It's time. It's time. We can beat it. We can beat it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. It turns out I also had to stall out Dragon Claws because it did too much damage. He was now at his last move, which was Shadow Force, and luckily for me, Ghost does not affect normal. It was now time to set up before he ran out of PP for Shadow Force. I set up a Power Guard and a 2 Spice Radish. I go for a Crunch. He uses Struggle and knocks himself out. With him transforming into the Origin form, I decided to just throw a Hail Mary strong style Crunch. Here is my reaction. Warning for all headphone users, you might want to lower it down. Oh! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! No way! There's no way! There's no way! Oh my god! There's no way! Oh my god! Oh, Jesus. Oh, the amount of battles I had to go through. It was like 3 days of just fighting Giratina, man. Oh my god. This was probably one of the most hardest and time-consuming Pokemon battles I've ever come across in my entire life. And I'm just happy that it's finally over because I can now finish the game. After completing the Pokedex, we make our return to Spear Pillar and play the Azure Flute. A stairway appears and at the top, there's nothing. Or so I thought. Arceus turns my phone into a glowing ball and the battle begins. After over 30 minutes of memorizing his moves, I finally managed to beat him, but I wanted to see if I can actually beat him with a Bidoof, so I restarted the fight and beat him again without having the prompt to fight. It turns out that the only way to fight him is when he's charging up, so I took the opportunity and threw out my Bidoof. He changed into a fighting type and used Judgment, which to my surprise did not kill me. Had he used a strong style Judgment, I would be for sure dead. He set up a Calm Mind, but it wasn't over. I managed to squeeze a Power Guard and the stalling for Judgment to run out began. Even with Calm Mind up, I was surprised that he did not go for a strong style Judgment. He ran out of PP and it was game over. I used some power guards and he went for hyper beam, which I thought would kill me, but it didn't. I healed and used a 2-spice radish. For some reason, I decided to risk and go for a normal Aqua Tail for chip damage. Healed, then went for a strong styled Aqua Tail, and with that, we defeated Arceus. His guard was down and all I had to do was finish the battle without dying. Oh my god, he had only 1 HP left, bro. The last glowing ball didn't even register, man. Look. Bruh. You know what? I'm in control here. I can reset this fight with the same gauge you left off of and beat your ass. I am not doing this again. I technically beat you twice. I don't even have to fight you in the first place. I can just throw bombs at you and there. The challenge is over. It's done. I beat Arceus, and you know what? Who even says Arceus? It's Arceus. Let me change homie's name real quick. Here, Arceus meet Arceus. Goodbye.